Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Zed. Today, I'm going to do a different video than usual. I'm mixing two videos together, Sundial and HEXO, and comparing them to one another. So these two companies work in the cannabis industry. They have similar objectives and a similar vision, but the fundamentals vary significantly, and the buzz in the retail varies as well significantly. So without further ado, let's jump right into this one. So HEXO and Sundial. Now, you start noticing a bunch of similar things as soon as you start going on towards just taking a look into the presentation. So here, for instance, you got something called Powered by HEXO, which is, by the way, very similar to the SNDL's program going under SAF with Sunstream Bancorp. These two programs are very similar. They have their differences, but the same strategy is what they're going for. Powered by HEXO, which is investments in beveraging and everything, going towards funded by HEXO, and Sunstream Bancorp putting their money into the market to work for them. Now, another one here, you're starting seeing Sundial buying out different companies like Alcanna and Nova Cannabis. That kind of transaction highlights where you had improved sustainability, cash flow profile, and expansion into liquor, enhanced exposure with investments in Nova, publicly listed pure play cannabis retail operator, and provides deeper retail expertise at Canada's largest private liquor retailer, and cost and revenue synergies anticipated through operational efficiencies and additional market share with Nova retail platform, and Alcanna shareholders to participate in and help to create a future for Sundial. Now here, you see it with a company called Redecan and Zenabis. And it does talk a little bit about that opportunity earlier on as well. And it does basically say near-term revenue and cost synergies. See, it's even the same kind of wording at times. Access to HEXO's Center of Excellence in Veryvell. Extends Redecan and into Quebec and Atlantic Canada. Extends Redecan into US and Europe. Enhance HEXO's presence in the Western provinces. Access to proprietary manufacturing technology. Efficient operations accelerate path to EPS. And solidify leading position in Canada pre-market role. So you're able to see very similar kind of headlines, and you're even able to see that they want to leverage into Europe, US, and international footprint as well, using that company's expertise. So they're saying here for HEXO, they're number one. What's next is a top 3 global cannabis, and they give some valuations. Now, that's not much different than what Sundial does, and that's kind of something that everyone does. But you're able to kind of see the highlights. Okay, so now we get to see the operations. And yes, they're somewhat similar, but still different. For instance, you're able to take a look into just right on the fundamentals. So this is, again, some of this is lagging for the last quarter. So you're able to see in HEXO's, price over book is 0.31 and price over sales is 2.48. Sundial, it's 36.38 on price over sales, and price over book is 1.25. So on the price over book, I would say HEXO is around 1/4 undervalued than Sundial, or Sundial is 4 times more overvalued than HEXO. And price over sales, it is quite a lot, probably around 15 times more. But anyway, price over sales is something under TTM, which is a yearly kind of thing. So it goes backwards for a year rather than just the last quarter. Now, return on assets, that's important as well. Return on assets for Sundial is sitting currently at negative 28.5%. HEXO's is negative 11.45. Now, return on equity, negative 33.22. Now, HEXO's is negative around 17.86%. And return on investment capital, 31.70% decrease. On HEXO, it's negative 16.24. So apparently HEXO wins the management effectiveness. Now, growth rate, this is important. So earnings per share on Sundial's is 0.17249, and their sales is negative 23.5. This is based on last year again. And you're able to see here that their earnings per share is negative 0.853 and their sales is 53.2. So there's positive sales for HEXO, really bullish. Earning per share is a lot more negative than Sundial based on last year's. Now, this one here is a tie. Now, in terms of dividends, both of them don't give dividends. And operational ratios, their asset turnaround or turnover is 0.12 for HEXO and 0.06 for Sundial. HEXO kind of sees a bit of an advantage in there, but overall, I'm just going to give it more of a close tie. Now, the other thing here is their headquarters. This one is a Calgary incorporated company. This one is an Ottawa incorporated company. So one is Ontario, the other one is Alberta. Nothing much different, but employees on HEXO is around 1,277 versus 394. Now, I do remember HEXO did release a news not long time ago where they let go, I think, of 200 people or 200 employees to make sure their balance sheets are solid and they don't meet any future. I would rather honestly hear that than a company which doesn't do it. But again, that was more of a warning sign nonetheless. Now, in terms of the shares outstanding, you're able to see Sundial has around 2 billion shares in float, and HEXO has 194.3. The price point for Sundial is less. It's around half of what HEXO is. Now, if we were to go towards something, let's say, like a snapshot and take a look into just the market cap to get an idea. So first off, the market cap is around $1.3 billion for Sundial, and for currently HEXO is 246.1 million. So the market cap is nothing but the shares multiplied by the price. Now, you kind of have these two ideas and see these kind of two things side by side. HEXO, of course, seen a massive drop from around the 30th, and Sundial seen around the 10s and 12. So previously and historically, HEXO has been around 3 or 4 times more in terms of price per share of Sundial, but that changes based on shares generally speaking. Right now it's double. So you kind of get a feel of these two stocks and how they compare. Now, if you would like to see more contents like this, make sure to click the subscribe button and leave notifications on. Also, don't forget to drop a like to this video if you enjoyed it, and you can join our Discord and let us know which one is your favorite. Let's move on towards technical analysis to compare a little between the two further. Now, first off on the technical analysis, we're starting off with HEXO, and then we're going to go back and forth with Sundial to kind of give you an overview on each of these indicator kind of pages. So first off, in terms of the moving averages and whatnot, HEXO is pretty flat. Momentum is kind of going negative. There's a lot more supply than there's demand. Willing %R, which is very similar to RSI, does look ugly. The MACD is on the negative side. So there's nothing much to kind of write home about. Now, in terms of Sundial, things are a lot more interesting with Sundial. You're able to see 10 SMA above 30 EMA, the moving averages are further apart, but there is something similar that you see between the two, and it's almost related towards the cannabis industry as a whole. So you got the willing %R. This one is really beaten up, I think even more than HEXO, meaning there's even more supply than demand in that kind of chain, and people are more selling than buying. And so what you're able to see here is something very similar to the RSI. It's highly oversold. Now, the MACD has gone negative on the 22nd, very similar to HEXO, but even in a stronger phase. So you're able to see what you've seen with HEXO, just at a bigger range, except for momentum. Momentum is actually, even though it's negative, it's at a smaller amount. So that's a better kind of news, but they're kind of almost basically comparing in green apple with red apples. They're very similar in these two. It's just mainly the valuations. And as well the volume. There's a lot more volume and interest in Sundial than there is in HEXO anymore. Well, I think that's because of our main reason that HEXO really went from a $1 to $11.04 and then really split down to almost $1.19. That's a massive downtrend. Now, I do have to kind of admit and just declare my position. I do have a position in HEXO, but when approaching this one, I'm really trying to be unbiased because I did also have a position in Sundial, and I go back and forth in the cannabis industry anyway. So I did actually hold a massive amount in Sundial before anyway. And I do kind of rotate my positions around just based on how I feel. So it's nothing, just because I have HEXO right now and Sundial doesn't mean I hate Sundial. I love both stocks just almost as equally. Now, in terms of stochastic fast and stochastic slow, you're seeing that this might be a good time or interesting buy time. You're able to see it's at the bottom. Now, for Sundial, we're able to see here that it might need a couple more days, but it's close to there anyway. So it hasn't really seen that kind of more of a flattening. It's still more of a down kind of indicator, but give it some time. It actually might level out. Now, HEXO's moving average bands, you're anticipating to trade between 157 and 128 at the top and the bottom, and 179 and 107 on the moving average bands or Bollinger bands. Sundial, you're able to see honestly, it is something similar. It's still within the moving average bands. You're expecting this one to trade between 79 cents at the top and 64 cents at the bottom. Now, HEXO broke the moving average bands, but still is within the Bollinger bands. You're not able to see that with Sundial. Sundial is 86 cents on the Bollinger Band at the top and 57 on the bottom. So there is a much wider gap there. Now, HEXO. Now, I can talk about some of the supports and resistances. I'm going to skip Fibonacci retracement for this time. Now, there is a resistance at 129 and closer to 120, and then all the way up to around 160, 172, and around 183. Supports for HEXO are around 115 and 110. So it's very close to that bottom. Now, I think the ultimate bottom would be $1, but that is the lowest it's ever traded. Sundial, however, you're able to see there is massive fluctuations in price. It was around 13.12, and the charts definitely look a lot different. Now, in terms of Sundial, there is currently a massive support at 65 cents, then goes down to 61 cents. Now, there is even lower. So you're going all the way back to around 50 cents, 42 cents. Now, there is a risk that I didn't really mention. Between HEXO and Sundial, one of them has a reverse split risk and the other one doesn't. Sundial needs to meet above $1 in order to still remain on NASDAQ. Now, the rules is you have to at least be above $1 for 10 business days, and it has met it before, and that's why it's not delisted so far. HEXO never really dropped below that $1, so that might be a good thing overall speaking. Now, in terms of the two, which one is the winner? Well, there's no winner here. Honestly, it is what compels you more about which stock. So mention down in the comments below. Are you team HEXO or are you team Sundial? In my own belief right now, based on what I'm seeing, is they're very close. Although HEXO is undervalued because the buzz for it is a lot lower, and Sundial is focusing on different things that are more appealing to retailers. But their vision, their action is very, very close. They're basically brothers. But anyway, it's more of a preference at this point. So what is your preference? Make sure to mention down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like, and have a wonderful day. Now, if you're still here on this video, make sure to drop down below and join our Discord. We have a lot of different things going on, including, for instance, members that gives picks for free. It's not pump and dumps, we just things we think about, swings, etc. We also have really exciting bots. You can actually use those ones. For instance, we're just testing out this bot, for instance, that gives you Fibonacci resistance points, activities, etc. And we have a bunch of free things, totally free. We run on tips here, and you can ask me questions, suggest stocks, etc. It's a really nice community that has been growing up very fast at a very good rate, and it's totally free. If you would like to join that one, feel free to do so in the description below, and have a wonderful day.